So, we're 1/5 done with this series now. I've already talked about what the top 10 bestest songs are for 2000 and 2003. Now let's talk about what they are for 2004. This was the year I turned 5 years old, and it's also a pretty significant year in my life, since this is the year my family moved to Canada. For those who don't know, I was born in Detroit, Michigan, which is also where my dad was born. My dad's side of the family is American, but my mom's side is Canadian, and my dad's hometown is where my parents got married and started a family, including me. I know I've said many times on this channel that I'm Canadian, but that's actually an oversimplification. I live in Canada and have since 2004, but I was actually born in the United States, and I'm technically a dual American/Canadian citizen. I am more patriotic to Canada though, and most of my childhood memories took place in Canada, so I do say that I'm Canadian most of the time. I do still have relatives in the United States whom I visit every now and then, and I can vote in American elections as a citizen abroad, but in general, I do consider myself to be Canadian. But anyway, in 2004, I still wasn't really listening to any then modern music. Most of the songs I had heard during this time were either from artists my parents liked and played, including a few Christian artists, and songs from VeggieTales. I was still pretty young at this time, and what was popular on the radio then wasn't something I was paying attention to yet. I will eventually tell the story of how I personally got into contemporary mainstream music, but that's for a future video in this series. Right now, let's talk about the top 10 bestest songs of the year I turned 5, 2004. Reminders as always, only the songs that debuted on the 2004 Billboard Year-End Hot 100 list are eligible. No songs not on that list, nor these 8 songs that also made the 2003 list are eligible. I'm not going to be doing a top 10 worst hit songs of 2004 video, but here are the songs that would be on that list if you're curious. Go watch the previous 4 videos in this series if you haven't yet, as I will be referencing songs I talked about in those videos as well. And finally, this list is just my opinion. Don't get upset at me if I put a song you hate on here, or my ordering isn't the same as yours. Let me know in the comments what your favorite hit songs of 2004 are. Okay, enough rambling. Let's kick off this top 10 bestest songs of 2004 list with number 10.
The first cut is the deepest. Baby, I know.
Starting this list off, we have a song that's been sung by several artists over the years. Originally sung by soul singer P.B. Arnold back in 1967, it's been covered by several other artists, including Cat Stevens, Rod Stewart, and of course, Sheryl Crow. I went and listened to the Arnold, Stevens, and Stewart versions of this song, in addition to Crow's version for this video. And of the 4 versions I listened to, Crow's is my favorite out of all of them. It's most similar to the Rod Stewart version, which is also an acoustic, folk-tinged, almost soft rock interpretation of the song, and its tempo is almost exactly the same as this version, if not exactly the same. But there are a few things that really make Sheryl Crow's version stand out against the other versions I've heard. Firstly, the gentle, slightly twangy guitars and strings give the song almost a country sound to it. Between that and the new key the cover is in, it gives me the impression of someone in a rural town sitting on their porch, playing the guitar, and watching the sunset over their field. It sounds very pleasant, and it fits perfectly for Sheryl Crow. I can imagine another folk or country artist singing this song in the same key and arrangement, and it would still sound great. And that guitar solo on the bridge also helps the song stand out from the other versions of the song. The gentle, acoustic, country-adjacent sound of this version also really fits with the lyrics of being afraid to start a new relationship with someone, since they're still recovering from their previous breakup, but still attempting to love this new person anyway. It gives the song more tender and loving feeling to it, especially with the aforementioned strings. The tempo is a bit slower than both the P.B. Arnold and Cat Stevens versions, which helps it to sound tender and not peppy, which fits for a gentle love song. That peppy sound was my main gripe with the Cat Stevens version. You know, considering that he was the one who wrote the song, the fact that his arrangement was subpar is surprising. I can imagine Crow's version of the song being played at the climax of a movie starring a girl from a rural town, finally expressing her love to her crush. The composition sounds beautiful, and in the right setting, I can imagine it bringing a tear to someone's eyes. It certainly sounds more fitting than the original soul version by P.B. Arnold. For all those reasons, Sheryl Crow's cover of The First Cut is the Deepest is the best rendition of the song that I've heard, and deservedly one of the top 10 best hit songs of 2004. It may only be at the bottom of this list, but that should be a testament of what's yet to come. Go check the song out.
We were meant to live for so much more, and we lost ourselves.
Yup, we're talking about Switchfoot again, and this time, we're talking about the only song that there's to be a year-end hit, Meant to Live. Whereas the song I just talked about was a gentle acoustic ballad that's only pop rock at best, Meant to Live is a rocking tune that definitely has a distinctive 2000s post-grunge sound. Those upbeat, rollicking guitars definitely sound like something you hear from a band like Lifehouse or Default. They just sound awesome, and while they do sound like they're overloading the microphone in the intro, they don't overpower John Foreman when he belts in that chorus. Unlike More Than Fine, which I talked about in the 2003 video, this song definitely tries to sound a lot heavier and fitting in with the other post-grunge bands from around this time, such as Nickelback, Creed, or Puddle of Mud. Although what sets Switchfoot apart from those other bands is the fact that their music is a little less secular than theirs. While not as overtly religious of a Christian band as Mercy Me, many of their songs still have lyrics that are subtly religious, yet not so much that they couldn't be played on mainstream secular radio. The title lyric, "We were meant to live for so much more, have we lost ourselves?" and the bridge with the lines, "We want more than this world's got to offer, and everything inside screams for second life," should also make it obvious that's a song about wanting to live for God and achieve salvation. And the first line line of the second verse says, dreaming about Providence. There may not be any explicit references to God or Jesus or heaven, but anyone reading these lyrics can deduce what Foreman's really talking about here. And wrapping these lyrics up in a sweet package of 2000s post-grunge was certainly the best way to sell it. I can certainly see why the song became a hit and More Than Fine didn't, although I love both songs. It seemed it was even popular enough to be featured in the UK version of the soundtrack for Spider-Man 2. And you know what? This isn't even Switchfoot's best song. There are even better songs from The Beautiful Letdown. They definitely deserve to have at least one more hit. I really wish Dare You to Move had made the year-end list too. Unfortunately, despite being one spot higher than Meant to Live, that song got caught in between 2004 and 2005. That song would have absolutely been in this list too if it had made the 2004 year-end list, but Switchfoot's only year-end hit was still great regardless. I was meant to live for listening to this song. I told you I'd be talking about some more Kelly Clarkson songs in this series that are just as good as or even better than A Moment Like This. This was the lead single from Clarkson's sophomore album of the same name, and it was also included in the soundtrack for The Princess Diaries 2. And while Clarkson doesn't bell quite as much here as she did in her previous hit I talked about, Breakaway is still a fantastic song. It's a song about someone from a small town who wishes that they could move somewhere else. They hate being cooped up in this tiny place, and wish they could move someplace warmer, someplace bigger, someplace where they can feel the warm breeze or sleep under a palm tree near the ocean, someplace with buildings that have 100 floors. They want to belong where they are, but it just doesn't feel right. They want to spread their wings and fly and do what it takes to achieve their dream. They won't forget the ones they love or the place they come from, but they still want to take a chance and get on a train or jet plane to someplace far away, like a warm big city. Lyrically, it reminds me a lot of Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, another song about wanting to move out of a small town to a bigger city. This song is really well written and sounds sincere. Fun fact, it was actually written by Avril Lavigne for her debut album Let Go, but she didn't include it there since it didn't fit in with the rest of the album's songs. The song definitely feels more autobiographical from Lavigne's perspective, especially since she did grow up in a small town and had a real desire to move to a big city. That's compared to Clarkson, who didn't grow up in a small town. She's from Fort Worth, Texas. Clarkson also changed the song's first line, grew up in a small town, and when the snow would fall down, to when the rain would fall down, since it doesn't snow in Texas. Well, usually. Watching the snow fall down does make that line about wanting to feel the warm breeze and sleep under a palm tree make more sense, since Lavigne wanted to move to somewhere warm where it's not snowing. She did eventually release her own version of the song for the 20th anniversary reissue of Let Go in 2022, which I also recommend you check out. But Clarkson still did a great job on her version of the song. Composition-wise, I actually like it more than Lavigne's version thanks to its slightly slower tempo and the absence of heavier guitars and more folk sound, which makes it feel more tender. Both versions are still good though. Check them out.
I'm breaking the habits tonight.
We went from Break Away to Breaking the Habit, and it's yet another song from one of the biggest bands of the 21st century, Linkin Park. I already talked about them in the 2 previous videos in this series, and this definitely won't be the last time I'll be talking about them. Here we got a song that's definitely a little more different than what the band had released up to this point. Instead of another nu metal / rap metal song, Breaking the Habit is more of an electronic rock song. There's no heavy guitars here, nor any rapping from Mike Shinoda, yet it still doesn't sound too out of place in the band, and still feels like something they'd make. It's still got the characteristic glitchy synths, and screaming from the late Chester Bennington on the bridge. Strings are also a nice touch, and help the song stand out a little more. It sounds very emotional, and the song overall sounds awesome, even if it's not the best song from the band's discography, or even from their sophomore album Meteora. As it's a song titled Breaking the Habit, many fans have speculated that the song's lyrics about Bennington's struggles with drug addiction, although Shinoda has claimed the song was conceived before he'd even met Bennington, and was originally intended as an instrumental track. It's never outright saying in the song what the habit that Bennington sings that he's breaking is, though it could be interpreted as fighting any kind of inner weakness, whether that is drug addiction, or mental illness, or self-harm. And considering that the person singing this song sadly did end up taking his own life over a decade later, and was likely struggling with his feelings for many years prior, maybe that's why Bennington cried when Shinoda presented him with the lyrics. Like many other Linkin Park songs, it has a lyrical theme of dealing with heavy, swirling emotions and feeling useless. It may not be as overtly nihilistic as In the End, or explicitly suicidal as One Step Closer, but Bennington saying, "I don't know what's worth fighting for or why I have to scream," definitely sounds like a Linkin Park lyric. Like many other songs from the band's discography, it sounds very emotional. Despite the absence of heavy guitars, it still pulls off the emotion it's going for tremendously. Maybe it would have been nice to hear some heavy guitars here to help give the song that extra emotional punch, but maybe that was a habit Linkin Park was trying to break, at least as an experiment here. But listening to this song is a habit I certainly don't want to break.
So much for my happy ending.
Well, it's about time I finally get to talk about an Avril Lavigne song in this series. She was my childhood favorite artist back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and definitely the artist I listened to most as a kid. But yet, it's taken till now for me to finally talk about a song of hers. While her previous 3 hits from the last 2 year-end lists were all contenders for those year's best lists, none of them quite made the cut. But My Happy Ending was her first hit that, now as an adult, with a more critical eye comparing it to every other song for the list, I felt was top 10 best material. This was the second single from her sophomore album Under My Skin, a considerably darker album than her debut Let Go, yet yet still feeling like it's from her with her pop punk / pop rock sound. And the prime example of such is My Happy Ending, the only song for the album to be a top 10 hit, which is definitely well deserved. The melody is catchy, the harmonization on the verses sound great, the guitars in the chorus and bridge rock, Levine's vocals balance the emotion on those parts of the song, but yet there's still a softer element to it, with her softer vocals and piano on the first verse. Although she was at the tail end of her teenage years by the time the song came out, she still captures that angsty teenage pop punk sound so perfectly, fitting for a breakup song. Levine sings about how her ex-partner was everything she wanted, and how they were meant to be, but her partner is saying they're over. Now the memories Levine has of the two of them are fading away. So much for her happy ending. Despite her desire in the first verse to talk it over, it's not salvaging the relationship. Her ex-partner's friends told them that she's difficult, even though they don't know her. Levine definitely sounds bitter and angsty here, especially since she feels like her ex-partner never really cared about her in the first place. In addition to the sarcastic, "so much for my happy ending" title lyric, she also sarcastically thanks her ex-partner on the bridge for acting like they cared and making her feel like she was the only one, as well as for watching as she falls. The moodier sound of this song may have been an attempt to sound more adult, especially since, well, she was just a few months shy of 20 when the song came out. This being her first song to ever contain the S word also fits with that more mature sound. Yet it's not intentionally edgy or moody for the sake of such. The emotion is earned, and it resulted in one of Levine's best songs. Hope that gives her a happy ending.
Better than this, when you only got 100 years to live.
It's always kind of funny when an artist's most well-remembered song isn't the one that charted highest on the Hot 100. It happened with the Backstreet Boys with I Want It That Way, it happened with MC Hammer with You Can't Touch This, and it happened with Five for Fighting with 100 Years. Like his previous hit, Superman It's Not Easy, which didn't quite make my best hit songs of 2002 list, 100 Years is another piano-backed soft rock ballad, except this one hits even harder thanks to its more distinctive piano melody, even more power ballad-esque sound, and more resonant lyrics. 100 Years is a song about a man looking back on key moments throughout his life, and reminding himself that this life is all he has. The message isn't quite a seize a day message. It's not a song about how you should go out and do enjoyable activities because you only get one life to live. Rather, it's a song about knowing that you only have about 100 years to live, more or less, and how you should enjoy the good moments when they come, especially with your partner. In the first verse, the song's protagonist is 15 years old and is developing a crush on a girl. Then he's 22 and they're now in a relationship that's going well. Then in the second verse, he's 33 and has a child on the way. Then he's 45 and is starting to face a midlife crisis. Then in the final verse, he's 67 and is a wise man with half of his life behind him. And finally, he's 99 and on his deathbed. And on the chorus every time, he mentions that at 15 years old, you have plenty of time to lose, given that you still have lots of years ahead of you. There's never a wish better than being 15, because at that age, you're still young and carefree and don't have very many responsibilities. Savor the good times while you're still a kid and can enjoy them, because they won't be around for long. One day, you'll look in the mirror and see a person with lots of wrinkles, and maybe wish you had spent your youth letting loose more. Every day is a new day, so enjoy the pleasures of life as they come, because one day, you won't be able to. That's a really sentimental message, and the soft, wistful piano combined with Five for Fighting's falsetto vocals really sell the feeling. It sort of gives me the impression of seeing leaves turn brown in the fall, fitting imagery for the theme of enjoying something while it's still here before it's too late, whether it's summer weather or the joys of life, like getting your first crush. Although most people probably won't live to 100 years old, it's still a well-written song whose message rings true regardless of your age. I'll certainly enjoy the joys of life while I can, like listening to this song. Now we're at the song that was the #1 biggest hit song of the year. Not my first time talking about the song with that honor in this series, but it is the first time it's in the top 5. This was also one of 4 singles from Usher's album Confessions to not only make the year-end list, but to hit #1. Yeah, Usher had 4 #1s in 2004, and I'm certainly glad this was the one that ended up being the biggest hit out of all of them, as is the best of all 4, although Burn and Confessions Part 2 were also contenders for this list. Now, unlike 2021, where the #1 biggest hit song of the year was also my #1 favorite hit song of the year, I don't quite love Yeah enough to call the #1 best song of 2004. That being said though, I definitely get why a lot of people love this song, and why it ended up being the biggest song of the year. This song is an absolute blast, thanks to its infectiously catchy melody and upbeat tune, combining R&B with crunk. I remember hearing this song during a dance party at my cousin's wedding, which is definitely earned, since it is a song that absolutely makes you want to get out of your seat and move. And since this is a song about being at the club, noticing a hot girl, but playing it low-key, only for her to lead you on the dance floor and get down with her, it fits incredibly well. Usher is an incredible performer, and although his voice might be more familiar in slow R&B jams, he can absolutely pull off sounding fantastic on a more upbeat dance song like this one. In fact, this won't be the last time I'll be talking about an upbeat dancey Usher song that's perfect for the club in this series. Stay tuned. But Usher isn't the only performer here. We also got rappers Lil Jon and Ludacris, who helped contribute to what I think might just be both rappers' best hit song. Lil Jon's screamy voice thankfully never sounds too grating or obnoxious, which is definitely a relief given my aversion to loud, angry screaming. His ad-libs really spice up the song and add to its energy. And then we have Ludacris's rap bridge, which, instead of sounding obnoxious like his 2002 hit Move B, actually sounds fun thanks to his great flow and not having any lyrics that sound coercive or forceful. All three performers on this song come together to make a fantastic tune. They all have different contributions to this song, yet each one of them helps to make the final product better. I'm glad it's a three-way collaboration. If someone were to ask me whether or not I love this song, my response would be, yeah.
I've become so numb, I can't feel you there.
When I said that this definitely won't be the last time I'll be talking about Linkin Park, I meant both in this series and in this video. Yeah, Breaking the Habit wasn't even the band's best hit of 2004. That goes as the higher song, both on the Hot 100 and the 2004 year-end list. Numb. Fun fact, this was actually the first Linkin Park song I ever heard, and it's also one of my personal favorite songs of theirs. It's definitely better than any of the previous Linkin Park songs I've already talked about in this series. Unlike Breaking the Habit, Numb is much more akin to Linkin Park's typical output thanks to its characteristic sound typical of the band, with the glitchy synths, heavy guitars, the late Chester Bennington screaming on the chorus and bridge, and Mike Shinoda's rapping juxtaposed against a catchy melody, and Bennington's softer singing on the verses. Unlike the band's other 2004 hit I already talked about, the lyrics are less vague, being about being forced into conformity and feeling stressed and under pressure due to not wanting to live like someone else. Every step you take is just another mistake to the person coercing you into being this way, and you feel like nothing you do will be good enough. And every second you waste trying to be like this continues to bear more and more weight on your shoulders, more than you can take. It could be interpreted as being forced into fitting into societal norms, or being under pressure from parents and living the life they imagined for you instead of how you personally want to live. It's never outright stated, but that adds to its universality and feels relatable for anyone under stress and forced down a path that they don't like and stressing them out. It really does feel like the protagonist is on the verge of breaking, one step closer to the edge and they're about to break perhaps. And it seems the situation they're in is a repeating cycle, with the line on the bridge, "You were just like me with someone disappointed in you." It pulls off the feeling of angst very well, and you can really feel it in Bennington's voice when he belts on the chorus and bridge. Yet his screaming never sounds grating or obnoxious, and still sounds melodic so it's to sing along to. I definitely got a good introduction of Linkin Park through this song. It's a shame it missed a top 10 by just one position, but I'm still glad it ended up being a hit in 2004 and one of the band's biggest songs. The protagonist may feel numb and can't feel you there, but I feel a lot of love for this song. Fantastic work, Linkin Park.
Remember when I was young, and so were you.
This is the third Alan Jackson song I'm talking about in the series. Of the two other Jackson hits I've already talked about, this one is definitely closer to Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning than It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, since it's another emotional country ballad. And while not quite as fantastic as Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning, Remember When is still a beautiful song thanks to gentle guitar plucks, beautiful key change, and heartfelt lyrics. The song is told from the perspective of an elderly man to his wife, asking if she remembers various points throughout their lives together. This song is one of a few year-end hit songs to not have a chorus, just a series of verses, each one looking back at a different part of the man and his wife's lives, and each one beginning and ending with Remember When, plus an outro repeating the title twice, which makes it feel more like a poem than most songs. The first verse is about the man and his wife when they were young, before they were married. The second verse is about them getting married. The third verse is about them having kids, and how that brought about changes to their lives. The fourth verse is about them raising their kids, and how that strengthened their love for each other. The fifth verse is about how 30 seems so old, but that was just a stepping stone to their current ages. And the sixth and final verse is about how they decided that once they became old and gray, and their kids move out, they won't be sad, but reminisce on the life they had together. And that final verse brings the entire song full circle, since it seems they're now at the point when they decided they remember their life together, hence why the song was made in the first place. It's a very well-written song that beautifully summarizes a couple's lives together. They felt every type of emotion together. They made love and cried. There was joy, there was hurt. They broke each other's hearts, but they do it all again if they had the choice. Alan Jackson, having a very mature image to him with his neo-traditional country sound, is the perfect artist for this sort of growing old together love song. I also love the harmonization on the final two verses and outro. Not only does it sound beautiful, but it gives the impression that the man and his wife are singing the song together. After all, it is a song about a man and his wife looking back on their time together. It really makes the most out of its composition to make it sound just as beautiful as the lyrics. It's the second best emotional country song to be a hit in 2004. Yeah, second best. This isn't quite number one. But before I talk about the song that actually is number one, let's talk about some honorable mentions.
And the reason is you.
This song is my number 11 for the list. It was just edged out. But that doesn't mean I don't like The Reason by Hoobastank, because I definitely do. The pop rock guitar's favorite mainstream radio, while also giving the band some wider appeal, and the bright major key sound fits with the lyrics of recognizing one's own mistakes of hurting someone in their past, perhaps an ex-partner or a family member, and finding a reason to change your ways and start all over, that reason being the person you previously harmed. There is some genuine growth, as they express regret for what they did, and are going to try and better themselves for the future. There's definitely a reason why I like this song.
'Cause when the sun goes down, we'll be grooving when the sun goes down.
I've talked about Kenny Chesney and Uncle Kracker songs in this series before, though only as honorable mentions. And unfortunately, this is yet another honorable mention that just missed the list, but still a good song that stands out from other country songs thanks to its more tropical sound, courtesy of the pedal steel in the chorus, steel pans in the bridge, and lyrics of resting in a hammock near the water all day to get ready for a night of partying. I will say I'm not sure why the song is a duet. Either Chesney or Kracker could have handled the song alone, and there is a fake out ending where it hits a decrescendo, then continues for another minute and 20 seconds longer, but it's still a decent song.
On the way down, I saw you, and you saved me from myself.
Here's yet another song from an album I own on CD from an artist who didn't stick around very long, Ryan Cabrera. On the Way Down is a pretty good pop rock song about being lost and tired of life until you found your partner. They saved you when they came into your life, lifted the weight off your shoulders, and showed you love. There are some lines that suggest that the protagonist was suicidal, like the "sick and tired of this world, there's no more air" line on the first verse, and especially the "I was so afraid of going under" line on the bridge. Yet the upbeat sound still makes it sound happy, fitting with how the protagonist feels now that they're with their current partner. Great song. And on the topic of pop rock songs by artists whose career didn't last beyond the mid-2000s, here's Pieces of Me by Ashlee Simpson. It's a pleasant love song about depending on your partner to rescue you from the darkness, cushioning you from the bottom crash, and making you feel happy and comfortable when you're feeling upset. It feels great having someone with you who understands you and who seems to know you better than you know yourself. They can tell all the pieces of you, but yet you don't want what's written on your face to ever go away. The mid-tempo sound and acoustic guitar backing make it feel comforting, perfect for a song about feeling comforted when you're in your partner's arms. Good song.
She will be loved.
Remember when Maroon 5 was actually a band? As in, you could distinctly hear non-computerized instruments on every song of theirs? She Will Be Loved is a time capsule of that time, with its mid-tempo, borderline soft rock sound that feels very nice for a love song. It's a song about a man wanting to give a woman love and comfort. He doesn't mind spending every day in front of her house in the pouring rain. He just wants to fix her broken smile, invite her to stay with him, and show her love. She can tap on his window or knock on his door. His door's always open, and she can come anytime she wants. This girl will be loved, and this song will be, and currently is, loved by me. That's 5 honorable mentions. Now let's talk about some songs that didn't quite make the 2004 year-end Hot 100 list, either because they didn't chart high enough on the Hot 100 to be hits, or didn't chart on the Hot 100 at all, but would have made my list if they had made the year-end list. Let's talk about 5 ineligible honorable mentions.
Days go by, I can feel it flying like a hand out the window in the wind.
Keith Urban did have a song on the 2004 year-end list with You'll Think of Me, but I really wish it had been Days Go By instead. It's a fantastic upbeat country song with that Carpe Diem message about how the days are going by just like cars passing on the street, so you better start living life because tomorrow's gonna slip away before you know it. And the upbeat guitars and memorable melody really fit with the upbeat message. Like the previous Keith Urban song I talked about as an ineligible honorable mention in this series, it's a song I heard several times as a kid since my mom's a Keith Urban fan. But even putting aside my nostalgia, I think Days Go By is still a great song that should have been a hit.
To be left outside alone when it's cold out here.
This is my 3rd time talking about an Anastasia song as an ineligible honorable mention this series. That's mostly because I love her music, and it's baffling why she had practically no success in America despite being American herself. Left Outside Alone was a lead single from her self-titled 3rd album, which goes for a more rock sound as opposed to the new disco/funk sound of her first 2 albums. Her nasal vocals have a real grit to them here, fitting with the bitter lyrics about an apathetic ex-partner never showing you love and abandoning you, and it sounds great against the rockier guitars. And the softer falsetto vocals on the intro also sound great too. Check the song out.
Maya, Maya, ooh, Maya, oh, Maya,
Well, this is a throwback. Draco Stating Tay, otherwise known as the Numa Numa song, is a song that I'm sure many Americans have heard, but don't know what the song is actually called. This early meme song comes to us courtesy of Moldovan pop group Ozone, and although the song was a lot more popular in Europe than in America, it did manage to break the language barrier thanks to its infectiously catchy melody, Eurodance tune, and of course, the aforementioned Numa Numa video. Call it cheesy or a novelty song if you want, but I find the song to be dumb Eurodance fun, in the same vein as Eiffel 65's Blue Dabba Dee, Aqua's Barbie Girl, or the Venga Boys' We Like to Party. Fun song.
All I know is what it did take to make this.
Just like Linkin Park, here's another new metal band who had an awesome rocking song popular in 2004, even if it only charted on the Billboard mainstream rock chart and never the Hot 100. Between its upbeat rocking guitars, catchy melody, and lyrics of rocking at a party and throwing up your rock fist, this is definitely a song intended to be performed at a mosh pit. Unlike most of Linkin Park's discography, this is more of a feel-good headbanging sort of metal song, and it definitely does its job, yet there's still enough mainstream appeal here for non-metal fans to enjoy it. Also, 1000 Foot Crutch is a Canadian band, so extra bonus points here. When I hear this song, I definitely want to raise up my rock fist. And here's this year's song in the category of dance/EDM songs that were huge in Europe but flopped in America. Although some Americans may know the song for its sexy music video featuring a man in an aerobics class with a bunch of women doing sexually suggestive workout moves. On its own though, Call on Me is a fantastic track, thanks to its energizing house beat that really gets your blood pumping, fitting with its music video, its infectiously catchy synths, and great interpolation from Steve Winwood's 1982 song Valerie, which he actually re-recorded for this song instead of simply being a sample. I guess Winwood was just that impressed with the song, and so am I. Really wish it had been a hit in America. But now, let's discuss a song that actually was a hit in America, and is the song from the 2004 year-end Hot 100 list that was better than the rest. The #1 best hit song of 2004.
Someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying.
I said that Remember When by Alan Jackson was the second best emotional country song to be a hit in 2004. Well, Live Like You Were Dying by Tim McGraw is the best. Just like he did with Grown Men Don't Cry in 2001, he managed to deliver a phenomenal and heart-tugging country song. Though unlike Grown Men Don't Cry, this one isn't the runner-up for #1, it is #1. Though ironically, I actually like Grown Men Don't Cry more than this song, despite it being one slot lower on its year's best hit songs list. Anyway, like McGraw's previous hit, Live Like You Were Dying is a song that really shines, thanks to its fantastic lyrical content that really makes you feel for the song's protagonist. The song is about a man in his early 40s who ends up learning that he's ill. He spends the next few days looking at his x-rays and fears that his condition may be terminal and that he's going to die young. He thought he had a lot of life ahead of him, but that may all be coming to a sudden end very soon. The song's narrator asks the ill man what he's going to do now that he knows that he may not have much time left on Earth. Does he become clinically depressed and spend the rest of his life wallowing? Does he become bitter and angry that he may not get to live the long life he thought he would? Does he live in fear and paranoia that his final day is going to come at any time? Does he try to deny his condition and put on a fake smile like nothing's wrong? No. He tells the narrator that he decided to go skydiving, bull riding, climb the Rocky Mountains, and become a better person than he was before. Facing death has given him a new perspective, and he's decided that he's going to live the rest of his life enjoying himself and bettering himself. He decided to finally forgive people for things they did, something he had been denying for a long time. He decided to become a more loving and appreciative husband, become a better friend, and read the Bible, something he had never done up to that point. And if he had to make the same choice all over again upon hearing his diagnosis, he wouldn't change a thing. He then tells the narrator that he hopes they'll get the chance to live like they were dying. That's a fantastic message. And yeah, the fear of one's own mortality can make someone realize just how precious life is, and make them realize that they should seize a day and live the best life they can truly live. It's great that the protagonist decided to make the best out of his situation, turn his negative around to a positive, and let someone else know that he hopes that they'll seize a day and live their best possible life too. It's never outright said in this song if the protagonist's condition truly was terminal, but the fear that it was certainly changed his outlook on life. Even if he does end up surviving and lives to 100, I have no doubt that he's going to continue living each day as if it was his last, doing the things he always wanted to do but never did, and treating others significantly better. You don't have to be staring at the Grim Reaper to live this way. Anyone can live like this. Living every day as if it's your last day on Earth can make one become a better person and try to leave this world better than they found it. Maybe that's something we all should be doing. Living every day as if it's their last one on Earth. We can make a more fulfilling life if we pretend that we won't be alive tomorrow. Doing more thrilling activities that we've always wanted to do but couldn't or were once too afraid to do, and showing more kindness to everyone around us, and ensuring that they'll remember you long after you're gone. I'm sure the song could definitely inspire someone to live that Carpe Diem lifestyle, especially if they receive a grim diagnosis or have a near-death experience. In fact, this song may have actually been inspired by a situation just like that. This song actually came out a little over a year after Tim McGraw's father, Tug McGraw, was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and a few months after he sadly passed away from brain cancer. Many people have speculated that's what inspired the song, and although Tim had to confirm this one way or the other as far as I know, it would not surprise me at all if that were the case. Given that most of the song is sung from the perspective of the diagnosed person, telling another person what they did after receiving said diagnosis, maybe these lyrics aren't based on what Tug told his son before he passed away. I can't confirm that's the case, but either way, these lyrics are so incredibly well written, and the song's composition really helps. Despite having a slower tempo than his previous hit, it's definitely more peppy than that song, thanks to the more pronounced crescendo and the electric guitar, particularly with the solo on the intro. The brighter sound actually fits, given all the exhilarating activities the protagonist mentioned he did. Yet the pedal steel, piano, and touches of strings still give it a gentler country feel. And that key change on the final chorus, and Tim McGraw holding out the die in Dyin' the final time he sings the title lyric, also sounds fantastic, and make the song sound as thrilling as all the activities the protagonist described doing on the chorus. It definitely sounds very inspirational and perseverant, which is definitely what the song was going for. Everything about the song just comes together beautifully, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's the #1 best hit song of 2004. I know the title lyric wasn't specifically directed at me, but I also hope I can get the chance to live like I'm dying. And that's the top 10 best songs of 2004. Thanks so much for watching. The 2005 video will be out relatively soon. Stay tuned for that, and take care.